said mem.
I couldn't get the gloves off fast enough.
I hear. Yeah.
No excuses.
Jack, you said memvav?
Yeah, Mem Vav and Aleph. That's right now we're up to. The Torah Ravana, yeah. When it says you give a guy a punishment, that's referring to money. The Yisru, and when it says when you give him musar, the malkus, then that's talking about malkus. So Bishlam of Anshu, the Mama, the Siva Anshu, the Mea Kesef, and Nasal Avianara. So there we say that you punish the guy. If the guy did Motzi Shemra, so you punish him, and he has to give 100 kesef to the girl's father. Ela v'yisru zeh malkus minol. And how do you know the word v'yisru is malkus? Amar Ravo lamanu yisru mi yisru. We learn out the word giving musar from the word giving musar. V'yisru mi bin from the word bin. Ubin mi bin, and then bin or ben really. Well, I mean, one time it said ben, one it said bin. But anyways, v'yisru mi ben, uben mi bin. In bin hakasa Russia, that if you're going to hit the son of the Russia, right? So you meaning it's like a chain. You learn Yisru from Yisru, Ben from Ben, and then how you mean hakasa Russia. Fine. So okay, so that's something parenthetical that the word Yisru refers to malkus. So assur l'motzi shemra minolan. Where do we know that motzi shemra is assur? Right? Every assur in the Torah needs a punishment. And it also needs the Torah needs to tell you what it's assur for. So why is Motzi Shemra assur? So assur l'motzi shemra minolan. What do we know that assur l'motzi shemra? Rabbi Lazar Amar may loy selech Rachel. Right, as we all know, you shouldn't go. How do you call Rachel? You're peddling, right? A Rachel shouldn't go peddling things. Meaning, one should not go peddling in not true things. Right, that's what we call rechilus. Right, that's what half of the Chafetz Chaim is about. So when you go saying, when this guy goes saying false stories about his wife that she was mazana, so we know that from Leiselech Rachel, from Nasa Noimer. Now and then we had yesterday with the Toistus, and we didn't really dwell on it too much, but it's like Maisa, it's a lav shein by Maisa because he didn't do a Maisa, so it's an exception. It's an exception. Okay, so that's Rabbi Lazar. You should watch yourself from anything bad. Right? So anytime you have the word nishmarta, or Rashi says that's anytime it says Ishamar pen Baal, that means it's a love. Right? Fine. But Rabbi Lazar, my time how come Rabbi Lazar doesn't want to learn out from nishmarta called davara? We buy like Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. He learns it from Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Because it says when you call davara, you have to watch yourself from every bad thing. Do not think about intimacy during the day, and then you'll end up having a nocturnal emission, as they call it, at night. So that's why it's also now. From that you could think, okay, so the only reason why it's also to think about improper thoughts is because you may come to Tumah B'Layla. Let's say for sure you know you're not going to come to Tumah B'Layla. I don't know how you know that, but let's say you would. So would it be assur? I don't know. It's from here it sounds like not, but obviously we say that it is assur. It is assur because you also have what's the word? Kriya Shema. That you shouldn't look at improper things, even if it doesn't lead to problems at night. Okay, whatever it is. So that's what he learns it out. Rav Nosson, my time will learn Mai. And Rav Nosson, why didn't he learn it out from Rabbi Lazar's pasuk? It's an assur to bezdin that somebody shouldn't be soft to this one and hard to this one. Right? Fine. So now that's how we know those are the two shitas of what the assur is for saying Motzi Shemra. Fine. Then the Gemara says, so let's say the husband didn't go hire Adam to falsely testify. And they just decided to do it on their own. They decided to try and get this woman on their own, having nothing to do with the husband. Who ain't a loika? Right? So if that's the case, and it comes out that these Edom are liars, then he won't get malkus, and he does not have to pay the 100 selah fine. Right? Again, when a guy gets caught lying about his wife, he gets malkus, and he has to pay a fine of 100 selah. That's only if he was involved in the scam. If he was not involved in the scam, and they came on their own, then he does not have to pay the fine. So then the Gemara continues. Her and the ones that lied go to the Beis Haskila. Does it mean her and the Zaymimin? It's either her or the Zaymimin go to the Beis Haskila. Fine. So time of the law. The reason is because he didn't tell. Meaning, why are we saying that he's potter? Is because he didn't tell the Eidim. But if he told them, even though he didn't hire them, he says you're not even chayav until he actually pays the Eidim. Right? So it comes out, we're saying two different shitas here. We're saying the first shita is that as long as you don't hire, as long as the husband wasn't involved in the lie, he's going to be potter. So Yehuda says, no, he could have been involved in the lie. If he doesn't pay the Eidim for lying, then he's still potter. My time to Yehuda. So why should Yehuda say this? Ask you sima, because we learn it out from the Gzeira Shava of sima, which means to place. And he placed on her.
That's so schwer to understand. Who cares if he paid? He made it worse. Who cares if he paid them or not?
Yeah,
the bigger outlaw is that he got them to do that.
Right. That means, yeah.
Why do we care about the money?
Right.
Like
What's
that?
the difference? What's the difference
Right.
if he paid or he didn't pay?
Correct.
I guess because must be shot that if he paid to do these lies, then that must be that he really wanted. And he really, man, but if he just did it for free, he figured, okay, if I can get the agent to do it for free, shine. If not. But if he paid, that means he was really into it. Maybe, I don't know. Either way,
understand that here, but okay.
Yeah, it is. But he's learning it as a Gzeira Shava. So that's okay. That's how he learns it. So it says don't put interest, meaning when you're not allowed to charge somebody interest. Malal on mammon, when you're charging somebody interest, what are you charging him? You're charging him money. Avkan mammon, so to here you're charging him money. Asya sima. We also be learning out from the Gzeira Shava placing. Fine. Now the Gemara has a bunch of shilas. Let's say he rented the Eidim for land. He gave them land. He didn't give them money, right? Because Rabbi Yehuda was saying that he learns it out that it's money. But what happens if he didn't give them money, but he gave them land? So scharon bekarka mao. Let's say he rented them less than shava peruta, right? Which is shava peruta means it's nothing, right? So then is that called hiring? We know anything less than a shava peruta is nothing. Shneim peruta mao. Let's say he takes two eidim, each one gets a peruta. Each one gets a half a peruta. So each aid is less than a peruta. So what's the din then? Right? So by Ravashi, let's say this guy was late to the game. He's Motzi Shemer on his first marriage, meaning he got married to the woman, then he divorced her. What?
Excuse me, if they have to do a second step, is that considered not money? Like the land, obviously they could sell the land. So he gives them a house, they sell it in 10 minutes.
No, it seems like it doesn't fit into the Gzeira Shava.
Okay, so right? Fine. So that's good. I'm glad you said that. Let me ask you, he gives the two of them together this one of these famous pennies, the Lincoln 1943 penny that's worth $900,000.
Yeah.
Look at them both.
I don't know.
That wouldn't be either.
And
sounds like somebody lost their stage backstage tickets.
Yeah. My son went to check the tickets, by the way. It was $1,000 a piece.
Hiring them for a shava peruta, that's considered hiring?
No, that's the Gemara's Shaila. That is the Gemara's Shaila.
Meaning that's for free, really.
Right. So that's exactly it. Is that called mammon or not? That's the Shaila. And then if you hire each one for a half a peruta, but together the Eidus was hired as a peruta. So is that considered yes or no? It's interesting because last week a guy asked me, somebody gave him like a chush of a penny or a nickel, I think it was.
Oh, so then.
So should he take off meiser from a nickel, in which case he'll save a lot of money, or does he have to take off meiser on ichves, whatever it was, $100, $200, whatever it was worth? Right? So it's mamish yishayil, I think. Anyways, so that's that. Then boy Ravashi.
It's similar to a baseball card.
Yeah, that would be the same thing. Yeah, but baseball card's not money. That's the thing. It's not money, so it's not going to work for this. Right. So then boy Ravashi, meaning he got married to her, divorced her, got married again, and then said, you know what? He's a little late to the game, this guy. He says, you know, when I married her the first time, she didn't have basulim. Right? Mahu, what's the din on that? Al nisui achid mahu. This shaila we've had before. What about on his brother's marriage? Meaning the brother got married to the woman, the brother died, he had to do yibam. And then he says, you know what? I remember my brother told me that there was
We're
no
finished
basulim.
yivam. We're finished yivamas. We're finished yivamas. You can't bring that up anymore.
Okay, but sometimes, sorry. Right. Anyway, so do you say Motzi Shem on that? So Gemara says, Pasha mi achad. Gemara doesn't answer any of them, just the last one. Pasha mi achad. Let's at least answer the last one. The Tanur of Yaina espiti nasati lishazeh. It says, I gave my daughter to this person, right? Lazeh v'loy liyavam. I gave it to this guy, but not to the yavam. Right, so therefore it's that's it. So Memela a yavam does not have any tinus matzushem. Fine. Now we remember from yesterday's daf, we said there's a Machlokes Rabbanan Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov if the husband has to have slept with the wife before making a taina of matzushem or besulim. So that was the Machlokes Rabbanan Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov. So my Rabbanan Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov. Tanya Ketzad Etzal Shemra. What's the case of being Motzi Shemra? Bala Bezdin for Omar. He comes to Bezdin and says, Pliny, Laimatsasi, Levit Chapsulim. He says, Pliny, your daughter didn't have a sulim. So if there's Adim that she was Mazana after she got engaged to this fellow, Yesh Ksuba, Mana, she gets a Ksuba of 100, right? Because she was not a Basula. So Gemara says, Gemara asks immediately, Yesh Adim. Forget about that. She's a ksuba bas mana. She's skila. She was mezana. So hachi kamer. If yesh edim shezinta tachtav beskila. If there's edim that she was mezana under him, they get skila. Zinta meikara yesh ksuba mana. But if she was mezana before, meaning it's not really znus. Znus is if she was already married. This is if she was promiscuous before she got married. Then eksubas mana. Fine. This is still in the sheet of Tanakam. Nimtza sheshemra ain't a shemra. If you find that the shemra is not a shemra, meaning the guy lied, who like it? He gets malkus and he has to pay 100 seller. Bain baal, bain loy baal. Whether he slept with her or whether he didn't sleep with her. Rabbi Lazar ben Yaakov Aimer loy nemru darim halalu ela kishabal. No, Rabbi Lazar ben Yaakov says he had to have been boil her. In order to have a taina psulim, he had to have slept with her, right? So you want to ask, that's when he says, he came onto her and he came close to her. Meaning because he had to have slept with her in order to have this taina. But according to Rabbanan, they didn't have to sleep with her. What does it mean that he came to her and was close to her? So Gemara says, he says, I came to her with alilus, with really means lies, with tainas, and he came close to her with words, right? Meaning, because he accused her, and from his interrogations he realized it's a problem. Right? He didn't find. It says, I didn't find your daughter has basulim because he slept with her, so therefore he knows. But according to Rabbanan, who he didn't have to sleep with her, what does it mean that he didn't find basulim to the daughter? So it means like matzasi levitcha koshrei basulim. I didn't find to your daughter anything to make your basulim kosher, which is an interesting terminology. What it means is that he didn't find any backup that she's taka basulim. Something where it says, okay, another kasha. These are the basulim of my daughter. Right? What does it mean? These are the basulim of my daughter. So we need a little background here, is that the way it was back then is that the couple would, on the wedding night, sleep together, and then they would hold up the sheets to show the dam that she's that she's a basula.
They're holding up the sheets for him?
No, I guess to show the people.
I'm saying they're showing which people?
Mastama Adim or Bezdin, Adim. Right?
So they're walking out with the hotel sheets?
Basically, yes, basically, correct. Yes, that's exactly what happened. I had that Shaila too a few weeks ago. There was so much dam psulim. I wanted to know if you should pay the hotel for the sheets. So, what should I tell you?
You can't make that one up, Tiago. I'm sorry. You just
I don't make them up, man. I don't make them up. Yeah.
I have to save that question in case it ever comes up that she wasn't a basula.
That's true.
Save
true.
that text. Save it.
Yeah, it's saved. I'm not sure how do I search the phone for that one exactly to find it, but it's in there. Yeah. I actually talk about a saved text or whatever. I just had a shiloh about text. Okay, maybe for later. My ve'ila. Okay, so anyways, so they showed the psulim. So that's what the pasuk means. Ve'ila psule biti. But according to Rabbanan, that they didn't have to sleep together. My ve'ila psule biti. What is the psulim of biti? Ella kosher psule biti. What it means is people to make the psulim kosher, right? Meaning that he's going to bring edim that disproved, or somebody's going to bring edim that's going to disprove the edim that he brings. Right? So Bishlam, meaning the father is going to bring edim to show that the husband's edim are liars. So another kasha Bishlam wasn't Yaakov had to civil portion.
So they used to show the psulim to everybody in the city. Now, when you guys have little kids, you have to tell your wife has to say, you tell your kid, my mommy is going to see President Biden tonight. She has a meeting about whether we should attack China, and she'll be out for 3 hours.
I listen. These things are hard to understand. I don't know. It's hard to understand, right? Yeah, but I don't know if they showed it to the town. I think some Gemaras sound like that. Here it didn't sound like. I don't know who they showed it to exactly. Anyways, Bishlam was Yaakov Hani Lusivu Parsu.
Didn't they have those Shoimrim or whatever they were called?
Yeah, Sheshvinen. Very good. Yeah, they had Sheshvinen. I don't know if they would consider the Eidim or not. I don't know. Could be they had Negias. Anyways, the Bishlam was Yaakov Hani Lusivu Parsu Asimla, and they spread out the sheet. El Rabbana Mayo Parsu Asimla. What does it mean? They spread out the sheet. So, Parsu ma Pershu. I'm sorry, Masha Samla. They explain what they put on her. So that's what it means. It doesn't mean an actual sheet. They have to explain why they're saying she's not a basula. Right? That we learn out that Edim come for this one and for that one. Right? Meaning the chasen and the shver, each one brings Edim. Mubayrin as a davar. And they clarify the story like a new sheet, right? So that's what it's saying, right? But it doesn't mean that they actually showed the sheet. That's the way the Rabbanan have to understand. Similar mamish. He says no, it's exactly the way it's written. They used to take a sheet and say prove that there's psulim on the sheet. Fine. Shalach Reb Yitzchak bar Reb Yaakov, another kasha. Shalach Reb Yitzchak bar Reb Yaakov bar Yuri Mishmeder Reb Yochanan. Avgav Shalem Yitzinu b'Chala Torah Kula Shachala because of Bein Biyad Kedarka L'Biyad Shalai Kedarka L'Makas L'Ainshin. Even though we never see any difference between Biyad Kedarka Biyad Shalai Kedarka. And I think the Olam, we discussed this last week. Rashi here brings the pasuk in Bereshis Peretz. I think you were discussing it, Rebena, right? He says, Mishkaveh Yishiksev Shnei Mishkaveh Zeh Shavim L'chol Mishpat Arayas. Either way, it's the same thing. I mean, if a guy sleeps with her, via Shaloi Kedarka, then it's the same as regular bia. Have a Motzi Shemra, but Motzi Shemra, Cholak, that's different. Why? Because Ein chayav Achi Yivol Shaloi Kedarka. He's not going to be chayav until he sleeps with her Shaloi Kedarka, but Yotzi Shemra Kedarka. Meaning, the Gemara is saying that we said that you need to, according to at least the Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov, that you need to sleep with her first in order to be able to have a tainus psulim, right? So Memela, if the first sleeping he did with her was Shaloi Kedarka, that's enough. And then when he sleeps with her Kedarka, then he knows that she didn't have psulim. Come on, right?
So when does he bring the tinus? What does he say? Like for the last 2 weeks, I was doing Shaloi Kedarka, and now I have tinus.
I guess it's no, meaning he has to say, meaning he could be with her Bia Shaloi Kedarka and he can't say, oh, I think she's not a basula from Bia Shaloi Kedarka. The Bia has to be the natural Bia. By Motzi Shemra, the Bia has to be a natural Bia. Right? That's what it is. But meaning it works both ways. See, Rashi, the second Rashi up from the bottom says that if he brought Eidim, that she was loyal to somebody, but Shaloi Kedarka, and they were found Zayim, he does not have to pay. Right? Because it has to be Makam Sulam. I think I explained it a little differently before. Right? Meaning, if he comes and says that, oh, she was Mizana Shaloi Kedarka, that's not enough. It has to be Kedarka. That's what it is. So come on. So who's that like? Ikar Rabbanon. If it's like the Rabbanon, Afagav the Loibal. The Rabbanon don't even care about a regular bia, right? They say he can accuse her even if he never slept with her. Kol shekain if he only slept with the bia like a dark. And Ikar Elazar ben Yaakov on top of Beis now. Idi kedarka beinon. You need to have both kedarka, right? Again, Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov is like that. I think that's the part I explained before. According to Rebbe Elazar ben Yaakov, the bia that's in order to make it that he has a taina besulim has to be that he slept with her naturally. So who's it going to? Ella. So the Gemara changes it. Ella shalach Rav Kahana mishmid Rav Yochanan eina chayav at sheyivel kedarka. He's not chayav until he is boil kedarka. The yotzi shemra be kedarka. So he has to do both kedarka, not shaloi kedarka. Even though the rest of the Torah be a shaloi kedarka has the same status as kedarka, right? So here it does. Here it does not have. Fine. Okay. Now we go on to another subject of who owns the daughter. So Zak the Mishnah, Av Zakai B'Bitoi B'Kedusha. A father is Zaycha with his daughter's Kedushin. B'Kesef, B'Shtar, U'B'Bia. Right, so Kesef means he gets to keep the money. Shtar, whatever the Shtar is going to say, he also gets to keep the Shtar. And Bia doesn't, there's no Bia. What does it mean he's keeping the Bia? It just means that he could sell her, not sell her. He could give her over to somebody, and the guy could say that he's going to sleep with her. And that's it. So not only that, Zaka b'mitziyasa, like we learned, the father, if she finds anything, the father gets to keep it. And with her ma'asiyadeh, ubafaras l'dareh, and also with to be mater neder. U'makabel is kita ve'eino oichel peres b'chayah. He also is makabel her get, right? Meaning the guy can go give the get to the father, not to the daughter. Again, as long as she's not a begeres. Ve'eino oichel peres b'chayah. And he does not, but he's not allowed to eat the peris. Meaning, if she yarshins a field, he does not get, even though the field really goes to him, right? But he's not allowed to eat the peris. Yeah, he's just they put it away, and the peris goes to the daughter later, right? Fine. Nissis, so she gets married. Yeah,
it's probably a stupid question, but. The Messiah she finds is something that he would never pick up with Enolifi Kavoidai. But if she finds it, he keeps it. She finds a
You mean-
6-year-old daughter finds a package of kugelach.
Right, so he would never pick it up.
Right.
I don't know. I hear the kasha. I would think that he gets to keep it. It's just ain't a lifi choida, but I would think that he gets to keep it. I don't know, but I don't know. So then Nissis, if she gets married, Yesro of a Baal, the Baal is even more. Sha'ikol peris b'chayav, that he eats peris in her life, meaning the Baal, if she comes in with karka, he's allowed to eat the fruit. When he's chayav to feed her, ube perkoina, and he's chayav to be paid her if she gets kidnapped. Ukfurasa, and he's also chayav to pay for her levaya. Even if somebody is very poor, he still has to provide two flutes and a woman to go behind the levaya to cry to keep everybody mourning properly, right? So a guy, basically, the husband has to pay for the wife's levaya.
The horn section.
Yeah. Right, yeah, something that we don't do anymore, right? Fine. So the Gemara says, and how do you know that the father gets to keep the money of the kedushin money? This is talking about when he sells the daughter. They go for free, and kesef, she goes out. Meaning, once she grows up, a guy sells his daughter as a slave. Once she hits 12 and a half, she walks out scot-free. So, ein kesef. She doesn't have to pay any money. Ain't kesef ladan zeh, v'yesh kesef ladan acher. She doesn't give kesef for this one, but she does have kesef for another adon. Who is that? Umanu Aviyah. That's the father. So when I ask, maybe it means no, that the money goes to her, not to the father. So when I answer, hashta Aviyah makabel kedusha. But now that the father is makabel the kedushin, tichsiv as biti nasati l'shazeh. I give my daughter over to this man. She's going to take the money. Doesn't make sense. Meaning the father has control over who she marries. So she should get the money? No. It's if he has control over who she marries, that means she belongs to him. So he gets to keep the money. So when I asked maybe this is only by a katana, less than bas mitzvah, to less lo yad. She has no yad. Aval naira, but a naira the isla yad. That does have a yad, let her be mekadesh herself, right? And a naira again is somewhere in the middle, from 12 to 12 and a half. So let her be mekadesh herself and let her take the money. So one answers, when she's a naira, she's in her father's house. Kol shvach neurim lavia. All the shvach of the neurim goes to the father. So then when I ask, how do you know that the Maisa Bas goes to the father? If a person sells his daughter as a slave, just like if he sells a woman to somebody as a slave, the Maisa they go to the master. So too, the daughter, the Maisa there goes to the father. Melissa, why do you need that whole puzzle? Why don't we just say that when she's a naira, everything goes to the father, right? Ella, no, that's talking about by afaros nedarim, meaning if she makes a neder, then the father has to be mated the neder. And if you're going to say learn out from it, we don't learn out money from this. We had this Gemara a couple of blot ago, I think, right? And if you're going to say learn out from the knas, that the father gets to keep the knas, we can't learn out money from a knas. Maybe we should learn out from Beis that the father gets to keep the busha money and the bekam money. Shana busha bekam. There'll be a nami shayach. The father has a shaykhis to her busha and begam. Why? Because the father is allowed to marry off to whoever he wants, even to this ugly person. In which case, he owns her. So Mela, now that she's worth less, that's still part of it. That still partially is. So again, we don't really have a pasuk. Mustavra, When the Gemara, when the Torah is excluding something, it's excluding, right? Anybody that's leaving the father's house, meaning anytime somebody leaves the father's house, the father gets to keep the money. Meaning, the pasuk is talking about in the case when if an Amma Avriya wants to get out before she's 12 and a half, so then she could calculate how much she's worth and she could buy herself out. She could do a buyout, and that buyout money goes to the master. So we're saying, so if this woman is being sold, then she also gives the money, but the money goes to the father. So when it says it's not similar. One yitzia, the going out from the servant is not the same as the going out from the marriage. By the master, she's going out of his rishus totally. Yitzia da'av, but going out from the father's house, she's still missing. She still needs to have kedushin, nesuin. Meaning, even though right now the father's selling her, but that's only the first stage of the marriage. She still needs a second stage of the marriage, right? So you can't compare when she's going free from a slave, when she's a slave, because there she's going totally free. So the Gemara answers, but once she gets engaged, then she goes out of her father's rishus for nedarim. The Tanan, Nara Murasa, a naira that gets engaged, even though the father still has to be mounted in nether, but the husband also has to be mounted in nether. Right, so the bottom line is we are learning it out from that the father does get some money, so memela, that's so we're saying that even in all situations the father gets the money from the marriage. Fine. Okay, let's just do two more lines. Shtaru bia. So he also collects for shtaru bia minalan. Well, bia is not collecting, but he's allowed to give her minalan. Amar krav ha'isalish acher. Right, and she goes to another man. Iskish havayas la'adadi. You compare all havayas. Havayas means the way that she's being married in. You married her in with money. The father keeps the money. Therefore, with shtar and bia, the father also keeps the money. Yeah, fine. All right, we'll stop over here. Okay, I'll go to Nacht.
Jack, what time the rest of the week?
I'm not sure yet because I got a couple of chasanas and this and that. I'm going to try and do it better around this time. Around this time. I'll send it out every day. All right.